Hello guys, if I had to pick top 5 topics that you requested on this channel in the comments, top 5 would be Livewire, 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 and Livewire. And at first I was pretty skeptical about any new shiny object tools as I call them, but the situation changed with Laravel 8 when it came with an optional but pretty well-written Laravel Jetstream, which is mentioned in the official documentation, and if we open up that Jetstream documentation, Livewire is on the list. This made me say, okay, I will shoot something about Livewire. So in this video, it won't be just introduction to Livewire. Personally, I hate the tutorials that use something like foobar as an example, like CRUD, like to-do lists, like something not in real life. Let's talk about real-life scenario of contact form. And so you would understand the purpose of Livewire and why it was built. I've created a special project with 4 versions of the same form. So historically, how we built the forms. Backend only version without any JavaScript, so it's just posting the form. Then if you want some reactivity, then it was jQuery. So you're doing AJAX request to the server with jQuery. Then it was Vue.js, or any in fact JavaScript framework like React or Angular, but Vue was popular in Laravel community. And latest popular tool on the market is Livewire. So let's see how those 4 forms are doing the same thing, but in a different manner, in a different way, and you will see the purpose of Livewire and practical example. The repository for this project will be, as usual, for free on GitHub, so you can check that out. And now let's begin. So we will have one page with 4 forms on it, and in the routes we have one route, route get home to home controller index. Home controller index just returns view home. And then inside of that view home, first we see a simple form, backend form to the route contact. All the way without any JavaScript, error validation, submit, and that's it basically. So if we submit the form or try to submit, we get the validation errors, but if we do fill them, I will use fake filler Chrome extension, we send, and then we get email successfully sent, which is this session message, and on the backend in home controller, it is this, post contact. So post contact in the web, it's this one. So we're sending the notification and we're directing back with message, email successfully sent. And the actual email is in Mailtrap. This is the result of actually sending that notification. Now let's see how it's done in jQuery. Form number 2, jQuery version, has a lot of new classes and IDs. So same form, but we need form ID, we need jQuery success message for hide or show that field, then some classes like jQuery field, jQuery error message, an ID with error name or error email. And then we need to load that jQuery in the main app blade, like this. So we're loading jQuery, then we have yield scripts, and at the bottom of home blade we have jQuery portion. So on form submit, we're clearing error messages, we're doing AJAX call to submit, and then based on success or error we are doing some actions like showing this message, emptying all the fields, and if there is an error we need to check for the code 422, parse the errors and make them visible. We used to do something like that or in a similar way like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And it works really well. If we just click send, the validation is still going through. So if we open up network tab, let me show you send, AJAX request 422, we're parsing the errors. But if we fill them in, send, email successfully sent. Because the latest submit returned 204, no content, which is a different method in home controller. There are 2 methods actually. So post contact is for the one that is redirecting back, so for the first form. All the others will be using this method because it returns just the success fact with 204 code, so it's an API call. Technically it could be even in Routes API, not in Routes web, but it works for this simple case. So it was jQuery version, now let's scroll down to Vue.js. And in Vue.js we have a component. So with Vue.js we have app.js, resources app.js, where you register components. So we register contact form, and we have our contact form.view, and every Vue component consists of 2 things, template and JavaScript. And similar to jQuery, jQuery has a lot of classes and IDs, and for Vue we have a lot of if statements, so if success, vModel, like class, if errors, so similar stuff but in a different syntax and with a more structured way. Structured because in JavaScript part, we have all those fields as variables. So we have data for name, email, and question, then we have the status, success or not success, and then we have errors. So instead of playing with classes and IDs and visible and invisible, we are playing with variables and their values. So submitting the form happens in this method, we're clearing the errors, we are stating the success as false, and then we're doing pretty much the same AJAX request as we did in jQuery version. And if it is successful, we are setting the variable to success, and then the HTML part will take care of itself, so showing, hiding automatically. Then we'll clear the values of the form fields. Also form fields will be emptied automatically visually. And in case of error, again, we are assigning the errors, and those errors will appear in the form because of the Vue.js statements like this one, vif. So the actual blade file in case of Vue.js is just loading the component. And all the logic for both HTML and JavaScript and AJAX call is inside of the Vue component. Let's test if it works and what it brings us. Vue version, we send. Again, submit 422, validation errors, we're processing them. But to compare with jQuery, see the difference. In jQuery, we are doing a lot of manual work to parse the errors, to identify which key we need, which class or which ID. It's actually easy to make an error here, like a typo or something. So Vue.js is more structured. So this is much more pretty code, and this is one of the main benefits why you use Vue.js over jQuery. And finally, the hype has built to Livewire version. Using Livewire component from Vue.js version, it's really similar. You're loading the component. It's just not Vue.js component, but Livewire component. And Livewire as a tool has a goal to offer the same functionality as Vue.js, but without setting up all the Vue.js. Because to set up Vue.js, we need to have app.js, we need to have component, we need to have package.json, npm build, and all of that. So Livewire has a goal to make things easier. To use Livewire component, all you need to do is in your terminal, go compose or require Livewire. So install backend library, no npm needed or anything. Then you go php artisan make livewire and then your component name. And that component creates two files, blade file and component file, which is pretty similar. So that would be template part in Vue.js and that would be script part. But that script is not in JavaScript language, but instead in PHP language and with Laravel framework functionality. And to make it all work, in our main app blade, we need to add Livewire scripts at the bottom and Livewire styles at the top. And now let's take a look at Livewire component. It's in resources, views, Livewire contact blade. If we compare that to all those three forms before, it's a mix of all three. So in general, it's typical blade. So if message, that's a blade language. Validation errors also come like a blade language. So a lot of blade syntax with some elements like from Vue.js. So wire submit prevent is the same as Vue.js submit prevent. Wire modal is the same as vmodal in Vue.js. The only difference is that you don't have template here and you don't have any scripts here. Basically, you don't write any JavaScript. And that's the main benefit, the main beauty, the main advertised message of Livewire. So backend developers stay as backend developers, but have all the reactivity of JavaScript. And that's one part of Livewire component. Another part is the class, which goes to app HTTP Livewire contact. And it's a Livewire component, which is again pretty similar to Vue.js component with all the variables. So in contact form view, we had data, name, email, question, error, success, all of that. In Livewire, these are variables, private variables or public variables of that class. And in the blade, they are wire model, and wire model. And then with wire submit prevent, we have this, and this is the name of the method that is inside of that PHP class. So we have submit form, and again here we are playing not with visual stuff, we are playing with variables of that class. So we're clearing the message, we're validating the form, and you see it's pure Laravel. That is also one of the benefits, is that you have access to all your beloved Laravel functionality without JavaScript. And this validate uses the same array that could be defined in the component itself, like rules. Then we're using the same notification, using the variables like this, then we clear them up and set the message. So if we reload the page, and I will show you what is happening. So if we don't fill anything, we click send, we still have those validation errors, but the difference is that it's not API call with 422. The final result is contact Ajax call, which returns all the form. So all the HTML is rendered and returned and shown. And if we fill the form, we send the email successfully sent, and see there are 3 calls of that contact. So it's calling not only because of submitting the form, but any change of any field is actually doing API request, Ajax request to the Livewire, to the server, and refreshes the values of the fields. One time, then another time, and then we're submitting the form and getting back HTML. So I hope with those 4 examples you understand why Livewire is becoming really popular, because the main benefit is if you are a Laravel developer and haven't switched to Vue.js or to any other framework, Livewire allows you to stay in Laravel world, but your website becomes reactive as if it would use Vue.js or something like that. What do you think about Livewire? Do you use it yourself? Shoot in the comments. If it gets even more popular, maybe I will shoot another series on Livewire or something like that. For now, I just wanted an overview for you, for those who haven't seen that, haven't touched that. If you want to follow me on this journey of Laravel future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos, which I shoot almost daily now, and see you guys in other videos.